Well, all right, everybody. This is, of course, Paul Pease, otherwise known as Psycho's Platters, going off in, of course, with my cup of coffee, this time in a White Castle mug. Yeah, I found this. Yeah, I found this mug. But I'm doing this video specifically this time for, let's get this right here, for Billy Hurst. Yeah. Billy Hurst has got a contest right now, and it's for his 200 VC subs contest. And you know what, Billy? You know, congrats on all that. I've seen your videos. I like them. I've heard even. I think you've tried it. You've done some singing videos too, if I remember correctly. And I think I've seen some of those too as well. And of course, you know, being that I'm subbed to you as well. So basically, though, the contest goes like this: you want us to kind of do something called the name game, whether it be first, last, whatever, nickname, etc., etc. Well, you know what? I decided to do it this way. Since I did tell you that my name is Paul Pease, but I thought I'd throw in a bonus middle initial, so it's really Paul M. Pease. Some of you people right off the bat go, "Oh no, we know what's going to be in the M." Yeah, you're right. But let's try to start this out. I don't want to go and make this too long today. I've got a nice little pile of albums here, so we'll start off with, because like I said, P starts out the Paul. Therefore, let's start off with, from November 1970 on Vertigo Records, the band Paddo, the first album Paddo. Now, you know what? I can't help this. Here's your gatefold, and yes, it does have a cutout hole. Let me show you, because I have to show the Vertigo. If it's not Vertigo, it's all the other goodies. But here's your nice Vertigo. Yes, I like this. I like this indeed. This particular album, like I said, November 1970, produced by Muff Winwood, which is the brother of Steve Winwood, who he also was in the Spencer Davis Group, also in the 60s. But with this batch here, let me get into this here. You've got, like I said, Mike Paddo, who was the lead singer. He'd end up being the future Spooky Tooth and Boxer singer. That would be the groups there. He died in March of '79 of lymphatic leukemia. Now, other people on this album, Ollie Halsall, he originally started out in the band Time Box, which then turned into Paddo in 1970. He stayed until '73, and then went to the Kevin Ayers Band and was briefly considered to be a replacement for Mick Taylor and the Stones. I would love to have seen that audition list for all the people that were supposed to be auditioning for the Stones. So his name was thrown in there too. But instead, they went and formed Boxer in '75. He played on a lot of the Ruddles album, if that name sounds familiar to you. I love the Ruddles. He's also has a brief cameo in the film as the fifth Ruddle, Leppo, who ends up getting lost in Hamburg. And let's see here, what else here on all of this? I'm going to close this up a second. Also, he did a solo album with Robert Fripp in the late 80s, which still to this day remains unreleased, and he passed away in May of '92. Now, another member on here, John Halsey, he was Barry Wham in the Ruddles. He was in Time Box, Paddo, Lou Reed on the Transformer album, and others. But after 1983, he retired from music after a near-fatal accident. So Paddo on Vertigo, yes. I found that one a couple years ago in Central Arkansas at a Goodwill. I found about maybe a dozen of that type of, I mean, we're talking like that one, early King Crimson, Jade Warrior, things like that. The first Capability Brown album. Alright, so that's P. Here's A. Yeah, I cheated a little, I don't care. From 1971, Love It to Death, Alice Cooper. This came out in March of '71, and I'll tell you the honest truth, okay? This probably was the first Alice album I got my hands on. In the late '70s. I knew who Alice was. Okay, he ended up in my consciousness. Man. Muscle of Love, maybe Welcome to My Nightmare. That's when I remember starting to hear about Alice. So this is of course the Warner Press. I wish it was this, you know. Okay, guys, maybe you can help me out on this a little bit. This is kind of weird. I'll explain why here. I know the cover's not really that great, but March of '71 it came out, made it to 35 in Billboard. I'm 18 was number 21 on Billboard. Recorded at RCA Studios in Chicago. The original press of this album, of course, right around, well, here, his thumb was sticking out. Kind of made it look like a penis. Yeah, that's right. And the record company's like, uh-oh, wait a minute. So they went off and covered it with white strips originally, and then they went and airbrushed it out, which is what this version is. According to some source, though, that's why this is on the green Warner, okay? But it also says straight in the side label. Straight. Zappa sold Straight to Warner Brothers after the second album that they did. But the thing is, I heard that it came out in June of '71 in the UK on Straight label. So let me ask you this. They said that the cover for Love It to Death says Straight on it, but there wasn't Straight label vinyl. Now, I could have sworn I thought I saw somebody in the VC had a Straight label vinyl for Love It to Death. So put that down in the comments, please. If I'm right, wrong, educate me on this, because I tried to look this up and I did not get very far. So let's see here. Next, so that was my. So we got PA. Now, that's right. From February of '82, UFOs. Oh boy, UFOs Mechanics album. The tagline for the promotion of this was, "Mechanics, it'll tighten your nuts." I'm not making that up. It was UFO's 10th album. After this album's tour, Pete Way, of course original founding member, would leave to form Fastway with Fast Eddie Clarke of Motorhead. This went to number 8 in the UK. The single off of this, The Rider, was a top 25 hit for mainstream rock for Billboard. Here's the front. Here's the back. That's on Chrysalis. All right. Now it's L. From May 1977, Little Feat's 6th studio album, Time Loves a Hero. You know what? I didn't get into Little Feat until probably the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I think I've got every album except the first one. The first one seems to be a little bit hard to find, but this one here, I'll show you on Warner Palm. But yeah, I mean it's oh boy, what is it with me and jackets? Fine, I'll fix this later. But for this album here, you've got guest Doobie Brothers, Jeff Skunk Baxter, Michael McDonald, and Patrick Simmons, and future Little Feat member Fred Tackett. He would join in '88. Oh boy, I hate covers. All right, now we went through Paul. Now the M. I maybe have only shown this once before, but everybody knows I'm a Monkees fan. Yes, I'm a Monkees fan. So therefore, I'm going to show you the Monkey Business picture disc from Rhino Records. Now, this is the front. This is the back. I kind of like the back photo of this. WLS, for all you Chicago area people, you know what that is. They did a in-studio appearance at LS in '66, I want to say, late '66, maybe it was early '67. I heard the story that Larry Luchak, yeah, you know who I'm talking about, all you old school radio listeners. Luchak got pissed off at him. He was not going to deal with their nonsense. But here's the front of this one and the back. Now, this one here gets a little bit of a slight long-winded story, but I'm not going to go into all of the long-winded story, just the basics. This one here originally came out in 1982, but in 1986 it was reissued. I'm assuming, of course, being that the reissue had to do with the 20th year Rhino albums campaign, because if I remember correctly, didn't almost all the Monkey albums chart? 86, 87, I could have sworn, even if they were lower rungs, I thought they all at least charted for a week, which I kind of thought was awesome. Now, the original, like I said, the playback quality in 82 was inferior. When it came time to be reissued in 86, it was a better remaster job. The difference between the 82 and the 86 press is, at least from what I can gather, okay, there's studio chatter before the song Someday Man, which I've always liked that song, great Davey song, and like I said, as a whole remastered. It will also say on the runoff groove, the inside groove, it will say etched RE-1. It doesn't say it on the sleeve, but you got to look at the thing to see it. Now, also really quick though, I want to give you the lineup on this, alright? If you're a Monkees fan like me, go search this out. They did put this out in album and cassette, but picture disc is the best way to get this. Alright, Porpoise Song, 1968 mono single master, followed by Star Collector reverse channels. 3, Nice to Be With You, 68 model single master. Number 4, D.W. Washburn. Number 5, Steam Engine, 1969 mono plus TV soundtrack mix. Number 6, Timida Monkeys, 1967 mono mix and Italian single edit. That's side 1. Side 2, Pleasant Valley Sunday, the mono single mix. Number 2, What Am I Doing Hanging Round, reverse channels. 3, She Hangs Out, single version and 67 mono single mix. What they mean by mono single mix for 67 is when Kirshner in Canada went off and released the Little Bit Me, Little Bit You, She Hangs Out 45, which basically caused him to be ejected from the Monkees organization. Number 4, Love to Love, the 69 mono mix. Number 5, Someday Man, and number 6, Going Down, which is an alternate mono mix. Now, there is so much more to talk about this, but go to Steve Hoffman's music forums, because there's a discussion on said thing here. Another thing that was added to the fact about this reish is that supposedly there is a the Star Collector that's on this is a unique alternate mix that supposedly is not on anything else, but you'd have to look at the reish 86 version of the picture disc. Alright. Second, last name here, starting with P. Anthony Phillips, The Geese and the Ghost, from March of 1977 on Passport Records. Now, Anthony Phillips was an original member of Genesis. He was on the first 2 albums from Genesis to Revelation and Trespass. There is a song on the 3rd one, on Nursery Crime, called Musical Box, which supposedly originally was an idea of Phillips's, called F sharp, I think that's what it was called. And so that's where pretty much Phillips's influence in Genesis stops. This is the front, this is the back. Yeah, I'm not going to get into this, but it's like I said, it's on Passport. Now, on this album, you've got, of course, other Genesis gang members. You've got Mike Rutherford, and Phil Collins does sing on 2 tracks. And playing flute on here briefly, Jack Lancaster from Bloodwind Pig. So, Geese and the Ghost from 77. Search it out. I mean, I try to look for all of those things. I found that in a Salvation Army down in Fayetteville a few years ago. Alright. Going to E. Again, from July 1981, ELO's Time album. It was the 9th studio album. It was a concept album about time travel. Hold On Tight, at that time, was the most expensive music video made at that point. Now this, of course, is English money, because I didn't have a chance to convert it. They said it cost between £40,000 and £50,000 to make the video. 3 songs were left off of the album, but Bouncer, When Time Stood Still, and Julie Don't Live Here, they all ended up being B-sides. I love B-sides. But they ended up being B-sides to the ELO singles. Number 16 on the Billboard, number 9 on Cashbox, and number 1 in the UK. This is the front, this is the back. It was either this album or Discovery from '79 is how ELO landed in my radar. I mean, I remember hearing ELO on the radio before then, but that might have been one of the first albums I ever bought. Alright, to go to A, from June of 1979, Atlantic Rhythm Sections, Underdog. This would be Robert Nix's final LP on drums. Roy Yeager would take over as well on here. 2 singles, 2 top 20 hits came off of this. I like both of them. Do It or Die. I like Do It or Die. And I actually do like their version of Spooky. I like the original one better, but I guess the reason why, of course, they redid Spooky is because half of this band was in the original Denny Yost and the Classics 4. So, like I said, half of the Classics 4 ended up going in here, and so they figured, okay, we're going to go off and redo this. This landed number 26 on the charts. This is the front. This is the back. This was on Polydor Records for that. Alright, here's the next one. You don't see that often. At least I don't think so. Yeah, I forgot I left the vintage stock sticker on here. I didn't end up paying this price. I ended up paying slightly less. For the S portion, how about the Supremes High Energy from 1976? This is what might get some of you. This came out in April of '76. This was the 28th studio album of the Supremes. You can't fathom that, kinda, can ya? 28 albums by this point. When they got started out, what was it, in 62, 63, I think was their first album, to 76, you are looking at 28 studio albums. There'd be one more studio album in October of '76 of this year. They would make 29 total studio albums, this band did. You're talking about Mary Wilson hung on to the name after, of course, Diana Ross left. But Cindy Birdsong is on here too. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The last top 40 hit was off of here. It was called I'm going to... What? Okay, I can't read my... I'm going to let my heart do the walking. That's what it is, okay? You've got a handful of Holland Dozier Holland tracks on here, but most of it's Holland. They ended up doing some different writing teams. A couple songs on this album actually have 4 Supremes, which I'm led to believe that's the first time that's happened since 1968 for a Supremes album anyway, because Suze Green overdubbed 2 of the songs onto the other, because Cindy Birdsong left like about halfway, 3/4 of this album. So she ended up overdubbing on 2 of the songs, so you have 4 Supremes on here. Cindy Birdsong, if I remember correctly, was a member of the Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. And she went back in history to about late '67, early '68. She was Florence Ballard's replacement in the Supremes back then. So, you still kind of have some bridging of old and the new here. This went to 42 on the Billboard charts, number 24 on the R&B, but get this, the song High Energy off of here, number 1 on the Billboard Club Disco charts. So it's kind of funny because this album and the next album, see on the good old Motown here, they would end up being seriously on the club charts. They get really high amounts here. Now this album, by the way, just to let you know, only 125,000 copies sold. Only 125,000. That last album that they did in October '76 only sold 50,000. And I happen to have both of them. I've listened to bits and pieces of them. I actually like them. Of course, it's nothing like the old days, the old with Diana Ross and everything, but it's still cool nevertheless. Now, the last album that I've got going here, I thought I would dig through my autographed album treasures to show you, that's right, E. Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Trilogy. Of course, came out in July of '72. This was their 3rd album. The cover is by Hypnosis, who would end up doing albums for Pink Floyd. These guys, I think, Peter Gabriel, maybe a few others, Muse. Hypnosis was all over the place, it seemed like back then. I think 10cc, they did a bunch of different for companies. The thing, collectors-wise, I thought I'd throw out there, I discovered there was references to a quad 8-track that appeared in certain record and tape magazines in 1974. It was even given a catalog number, but it's never been found. So we don't know if the thing ever got released on a quad 8-track. I think that honestly would have been pretty interesting. Quad stuff on 8-track, we would almost have to do a whole episode on that. I have found some very weird things about that. This is great. This was Greg Lake's favorite ELP album. From the beginning off of here, squeaked into the top 40, and it was number 5 Billboard, number 2 in the UK. I'll show you the gatefold here. This was done in England, in a forest. Now the nice thing I thought I'd show is it's signed. It's signed by Carl Palmer. I'm sorry, my memory's not so good anymore, but it was in the mid-2000s. In the mid-2000s, Carl Palmer did a personal appearance at the Drum Pad in Palatine, Illinois. Now, I would be a liar if I told you that I met him myself. I didn't get to go that day, but I ended up giving these to a friend, and he ended up taking 2 Emerson albums and 2 Asia albums, and Carl, I guess, was very helpful. He signed them all for me, so I'm really happy to have that. I just wish I could have met Emerson and Palmer. It's sad. I can't believe how both of them died that quickly. But so that's it for you. So Paul MPs, I hope I did really well on this, and I hope it kind of interested you, Billy, and everybody that's watching. I like to do contests like this when I can. If you haven't subscribed yet to Psycho's Platters, please do so. I try to entertain and educate, and I want everybody out there, especially Billy, congratulations on the 200 VC subscribers. Everybody take care, God bless, rock on, and I'll see you next episode.